Okay, for those of you who have been practicing my 6-minute quick sketch, here's the next step. I'm going to use only one color this time, burnt umber. But now I'll start looking for more accuracy in building the shapes. And I'm going to use the same photo to work from. This time I'm going to use construction lines to build a more accurate foundation before laying in the shapes. When doing a portrait, I'll sometimes first tone the canvas with about a 50% gray coating. That way I can work from the middle tones down to the darkest areas and up to the lightest areas. In this exercise I'm using a white 11-inch by 14-inch canvas board, so I can just add darks for the dark areas and use the white for the lightest areas. As I said in the earlier exercise, after I get some basic reference points down, I'll start to use at least 3 existing points to judge where the next one goes. The only problem with that is if the points you are judging from are off, then, you guessed it, the new one will also be off. So to avoid that, you must be constantly checking and rechecking your reference points, all the way down to the finished painting. If you see something is off, fix it right away, before you make another paint stroke. As I mentioned in another one of my videos, it's a disaster when you find you have created this beautiful eye or nose or ear, and then notice it's about 1/4 of an inch out of place. Ugh! Okay, while I've been gabbing here, you can see I've roughed in a lot of reference points, but none are cut in stone. I can guarantee that some will be off by a little or even a lot. You'll notice I keep waving my brush around a lot, just to get the feel for where the next dab of paint should go. My job is to keep moving the reference points to more accurate spots as I notice the inaccuracies. So I keep jumping all over the face to check things. Also, notice my lines are kind of vague or loose, so I don't get committed to a line that's not exactly right. Just like a hurricane map, the real line could be a little off to the left or the right, or up or down, from the widest lines. So at this stage, stay loose. Sometimes it's handy to attach names to some of your reference points, like big hair notch, or inside left eye socket, just so you remember to check on them once in a while, like checking on the kids to make sure they're okay. That's sharp nose shadow, and dark eye, as opposed to the other eye, which is light eye. You get the idea. I do this because I like to have fun painting. Some of these lines just show me where some feature on the face is. Or where the edge of a shadow is. Keep reminding yourself you are building a foundation, and the main thing to be thinking about is accuracy. Do not, I repeat, do not spend time refining any details yet. That will come later, much later. Look how many times I sketched the edge of that collar. I wasn't really sure of exactly where it should be, because there weren't enough firm reference points to get an accurate location. No problem. At least this will give me something to judge by to get it right later. The same thing is true with the rest of the collar. So I just threw in some vague lines for now to get me into the right ballpark. Well, back to the face for a last quick check to see if anything looks really out of place. No. Okay, I'm ready to start laying in those large shapes. It took about 3 minutes and 56 seconds to get to this point, and now my thinking changes dramatically. I'm thinking of value, or how light or how dark a shape is compared to all the shapes around it. The background is a very large shape, so that's a good place to start. And it looks like the darkest shape in the picture, so let's go for the burnt umber full strength. Filling in this background shape took a while, so to save time, I've sped it up. Every other shape on the painting will be compared with the background to see how much lighter it is than this background color and the colors immediately around it. Now this may sound a little complicated, but it's not. And that's what this kind of practice exercise is for, to teach your brain how to evaluate these things without you even thinking about it. Up until finishing the foundation lines, I've been showing this video in real time, so you could see about how long it should take to get to that point. It should take you a lot longer if you're a beginner, but that's not important. What is important is that you learn how to do this value judging. In realistic art, it's the very foundation of the painting. And like erecting a building, with a poor foundation, you will never have a good, safe building. Now, through the magic of controlling time in a video, I'm back to real time, and laying in the next largest shape, which is the shadow side of the face. On the forehead, see how I used that thin little construction line to find where the dark shadow will end and roll over into a lighter value? The main thing I notice is this shape is slightly lighter than the background, so I can either add a little white to the burnt umber or thin it with a little terp to let the white canvas show through. By now my foundation construction lines have dried, and if I use the thinning method, those lines will show through and I'll be able to keep everything where it belongs. Also notice that even though I'm treating this large shadow as one big flat plane of color and avoiding trying to show any details, I am mindful of those details. See, I did leave this little piece of light shape to the right of his mouth. It's really just another reference point that can become a feature on the face if I develop the details. Same thing here. I'm going around and kind of making notes on where this shadow is actually darker for when I would be taking this sketch up to the next level of finish. However, for this exercise, I won't be doing that. Remember the KISS principle, and don't make this exercise any more difficult than you are ready to handle for now. That part is up to you. For me, it's the fun part of pushing myself to see how far I can go and not miss the point of the exercise. Now on to the next value. Here I added more terp to the burnt umber and even added a little white to make sure this value would be lighter than the last one. Same drill though. I wanted to find all the shapes around this one where this value would be compared. Let's see. It's lighter than the shadow side of the face. I made sure of that. It's darker than those bright highlights that will be left as the white of the canvas, and much lighter than the dark background, so I'm okay. Time to go back and check on some of those kids again. If they still look like they're where they belong, I made them a little stronger. If not, I moved them until I felt they were closer to where they belong, and then made them stronger. The brows look okay. Even the top of sharp nose shadow took a little quick checkup. Lips look fine. As I said before, accuracy is very important in realistic art, and here's the place to get everything where it belongs, as close as you can. I'm going to speed the video up again to save some time while I check reference points and pick up tiny corrections. Keep in mind, this sketch was made with only about 3 shades of brown plus white. It's a good idea to always try to break the subject down into the least number of values possible. Well, I finally had enough information to get back to the collar, and as you can see, I was pretty far off to start with. And notice how even in just roughing it in, I was able to let the paint be darker at the back of the collar and gradually thin out and get lighter towards the front. Keep in mind, this sketch was made with only about 3 shades of brown plus white. It's a good idea to always try to break the subject down into the least number of values possible, usually no more than 5 or 6, plus black and white. When you come to the later stages of a finished portrait, each of these values will be broken down again into finer values. But by starting out with a small number, and each new value related to one of the first values, it's easier to keep everything working together. I'm going to finish the rest of this collar, but that's about it. There's no need to go any farther. If you will practice what I've shown you here over and over with different subjects until you feel comfortable with getting a solid foundation every time, you'll be well on your way to becoming a real portrait artist. This sketch took about 20 minutes from start to finish. Try to limit your time to no more than 30 minutes. Try to develop the ability to see and evaluate values quickly and automatically. That leaves you more time to think about color and accuracy. In the next video, titled The Practice Portrait, I'll take you from where this painting is now all the way to paintings on which you will be proud to sign your name. Be sure to check out my website, www.cfsvideo.net, and all my YouTube videos. There are over 30 of them, and most are meant to teach something about portrait painting. But most of all, remember to have fun painting.